Okay, great. We're starting our PROST meeting for March 20th, 2024. If we can get a roll call, first and last name of all of our members tonight.
Aaron McConnell.
Laurelyn Bockelman.
John Evans.
Teresa Wakefield. And we are missing Jesse Roper and Robert.
And Jordan.
And Jordan tonight. Okay. Do we have any public to be heard on non-agenda items? Okay, great. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes?
Yep.
Any changes, edits?
Just a typo.
Okay.
It says pans instead of plans. Laurelyn. It's just something minor. Wherever it was at. Right there. Last section of WCP Memorial.
Oh, perfect.
On the PROST wish list, it says, under me, I'll be willing to help with the. And then it stops. So I didn't want to leave that open-ended because it's about me. I think it was willing to help with
Courts.
the courts.
Yep. Okay.
Can we approve with just those changes? Do you guys otherwise want to approve those meeting minutes?
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay, so tonight we have jumping right into our guest speakers, right? Okay.
So we brought Kyle and his team, whole team from well, from Discmania.
Northgate,
Yeah, all sorts of different. To present, they came with an opportunity last year to us, and we just wanted to reinvest into what they have. So as we continue to look forward for projects that this board looks to improve our amenities, they want to give us kind of an update, and we went out there just to do kind of initial walkthrough of what their ideas were, and then as they want to present them, we can kind of work through this team moving forward.
So I'm John with Northgate Disc Golf Club. We've been in the area for 12 years at this point, I would say. Very, very involved. We've really utilized Griffin Greens, Wellington Disc Golf Course for that time period. And we've come to a juncture where we need some pretty substantial changes in the name of safety. Is probably our biggest one. The east side of I-25 is no longer viable. It's too multi-use. So despite the fact that that is one of the more popular sides of the course, we have to make some changes because we don't want anyone getting hit, causing issues with the community. And with the addition of those condos or apartments or whatnot over there and things like that, it's just no longer a viable option. Additionally, in our previous meeting, we had discussed a dog park over there would be more beneficial for the community. And Kyle's been working a lot with Discmania in town to put together a proposal for expanding the west side of I-25. This expansion would have two parts. First of all, it would increase that safety, but then secondly, it would make this more appealing to, I don't know how else to phrase it, but less talented disc golfers who are more getting into the game. Right now, the course is very, very difficult for non-skilled disc golfers. Very, very hard to start disc golf at Wellington. You have to be kind of good in order to come here in the first place. Additionally, Kyle had the foresight to include a multi-use disc golf park that would include more than just disc golf. It would include foot golf, and then I can't remember what's the other version called.
Park golf.
So it's kind of like plastic, large clubs using a wiffle ball, a lot shorter, really, really fun, and it really utilizes non-traditional golf course land. Or not disc golf, but regular golf. You don't need it as manicured, things like that. There's only 2 in the country currently?
There's 5 in the country.
5 in the country currently, and they are growing in popularity. So we'll be bringing people from out of town. But then on top of that, this is going to be fixing one of the bigger issues that we're seeing, which is just the increased usage of that east side of I-25. Kyle, you got anything more to go?
Yeah, so our proposal is to, I guess you see it right there. We're going to transform the 18 holes, shrink it down to 9. family friendly, it'll be multi-use, like he said, multi-park, foot golf, park golf, and disc golf. But we would like to recycle the baskets and add them as longer placements for the pro disc golfers. So we could have two options, family friendly, short and easy, same tee pad, and then we'd have a long pin where you would have to bypass when you're playing the short holes. It's the next tee pad. So it works with everybody. It'll just be 9 holes for now and see kind of how it goes and how it pans out, but I think it's gonna be fun. Anything else to add to that?
Really, the big part of this is just really trying to make sure that we're adding to the community. Disc golf in other communities sometimes gets a bad rap because new houses, things like that move in, and the houses start getting hit. People start noticing discs in their yards, things like that. So even though the disc golf course was there first, it's a free thing. No one's ever gonna prioritize disc golf over homes. So this is really a big deal for us to try to be a part of the community without being a negative part of the community. I really think that Discmania has done a great job in trying to make this as financially viable for Wellington as possible. I do believe they're getting a really, really good deal out of this, and that deal is very, very contingent on the fact that this is their home. They really, really want to run the disc golf courses in their area. So you can see right there, 45% discount, very, very significant. Additionally, while it's only 9 holes, it is going to be designed by Avery Jenkins, which for non-disc golfers, he's a world champion player. He's also a world champion course designer. So that's very, very, within our community, that's kind of one of those things where if you're getting an Avery Jenkins design course, that's pretty impactful. So even though it is dropping down to 9 holes, as Kyle said, with the longer hole placements, it's still going to carry something with the more experienced disc golfers, while it's going to be a lot more family friendly. And with it being multi-golf, if someone doesn't like disc golf, they can try foot golf. They don't like foot golf, they can try park golf. I mean, it brings up a lot of opportunities.
So the 44,000 is would be the total price if we did everything. That's including materials, all the labor on our end. So taking the 20,000 off, this is everyone pitching in, doing a work day. That's not including materials as far as like lumber. Yeah, lumber, concrete, crusher fine, whatever we use for the base. So that's going to cost a little extra, but you're going to have all of us helping. We would need your machinery, so it'd be the town project with our local club, but we get it done together instead of charging you for everything and just doing it. Because we want to see it done properly too. Level, flush.
We'll be overseeing
Long
everything as
lasting.
well.
This would not be new for Discmania either. Discmania has put in hundreds of courses at this juncture, so they really know what they're doing with it.
Is it utilizing more space, or is it using the same footprint?
The same amount of space.
Okay.
Yeah, using that same section of park, eliminating the east side. Yeah.
Well, one thing we also see is a lot of the families that are moving in around there are going to be more attracted to it. And so for years, we haven't seen many people out there. Obviously, like we said, it's more of a professional kind of course. People don't, people lose discs. People can't throw that far. So we want to get more family oriented involved. So
Shorter holes, less away from water. So that's the big thing there. We got those 2 ponds over there, and the amount of time that we've watched a new player let go of a disc, and we're like, oh, that is gone. So this kind of eliminates that.
Like me.
So it's like me, golf.
Does this resolve any of the issues that we're concerned about, going over box elder, like a bridge needed or something like that? It does not.
This does not resolve that, though it could, if we do decide to confine it there and make it intentionally more family friendly, push that project
Okay.
quicker. Because that kind of hits on multiple levels, as we've discussed before. It's not just for the disc golfers, it's for access to the school, ADA access across without having to go all the way around and utilizing road front and stuff like that. So that's something we could definitely push if we're working on this project at the same time.
I have a question. Will it have signage too? You talked about the 3 different types of golf, so
There you go.
Yeah.
people will,
That's what a T sign is going to look like.
okay.
And all of the signs are actually printed here in town through Dynamic Image, so
Oh,
it's
gotcha,
local.
we have info boards like for the course, and you walk up, you'll be able to see everything you need. The amount, the
Total distance.
distance of the holes,
Okay.
you'll see everything on one big info board, and then every individual hole will have its own T sign.
Yeah, if you want to go back, I'm
That'll
showing
plug in.
Yeah, it'll map it out,
T-pads.
it'll
That's awesome.
give you the distances.
the signs.
So yeah,
Those are T-pads
they
there.
utilize turf, which is
Oh, yeah.
it's pretty well, it's pretty well sought after. It's a pretty interesting thing. It's not common.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
Yeah,
Um,
so this is our newest turf.
I knew what was in there. I was still excited.
And so everybody knows too,
Pass it around, it's easy, it's.
in my previous capacity, at the city of Fort Collins, we had worked with, this company to put in these tee pads at Eudora Disc Golf. We just did 3 of them as a trial, but this is the model. I'm sure it's updated now because that's been about 6 years. I don't know if you have a new generation turf that you put in, but it is very similar with the timber, the pressure fines compacted. It's
And
the
ideally,
preferred
we'd like to go
choice.
to the ground and not
Flush.
being that, looking natural, you know?
Yep.
So,
It'll look pretty.
And then,
Real first class.
for my part two, I actually did get a chance to speak with Avery on the phone the other day. And he would be here for the installation as
Yes,
well
he
as
would.
this whole crew. He's never missed one of these. He said putting in this is like putting in a permanent green at a putting course, at a golf course. So the lay, the slope, all that kind of stuff. He's done this before. He would be here for the installation. Parks crew, potentially public works crew. If this moves forward, we'd have to go hand in hand, but also with the disc golf clubs and
And
companies
you know,
are
if
just
you wanted,
working together to get this in.
How long would it take?
I was told,
the installation,
yeah, he said in and out in 3 or 4 days.
yeah, absolutely,
It
we
would be
can knock
quick.
it out.
it would be
We put
quick,
together a team, we want to see it in too.
especially if you had someone like, if you had like Boy Scouts or
Mhm.
someone that, needed to earn something, come in and help out, and yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, great,
We
okay.
would oversee and help everything, but. put
But
them
then
to
if we
work
were
too,
able
so-
to come up with more land, it could always just be expanded back to the 18 again.
You're my best friend here.
So we did talk about the north side of, towards Harvest Park there and the space in
Is that
between.
what you call it, Harvest Park?
Yeah, utilizing that in the trail. So this, it's not a finished product. There's no full design on this course, so that's the presentation, and then, willing they want to design it, it would come back to us and see where we would go from that, but that's where we would probably get this group to walk around, and we probably would have to do a little community engagement if it moved further than the piece of land that we currently have, but if that's what we see fit to use that land that's open, then yeah, we did just briefly walk over there. There is the space at Harvest Park. There's kind of the new bowl that we just acquired. Then there's that upper piece that's just adjacent to the townhomes on the south side. That's it's more manicured. The one across that fire lane access path that's in between the creek and that, it kind of dips down, but there's also some land. It is irrigated, but we really don't have the ability to manicure that as well because it's so close to the creek. So that's another area we talked about potentially using. It's just all about flow, right? And the design, if we could make it work. But we do have land over there too to look into. And then we had also talked about, which is something that John is passionate about, getting disc golf up north. And potentially if we have extra baskets, repurposing them in unutilized areas, just a few of them over at WCP to get those people similarly, just to get the families from Buffalo Creek, or as we expand north started, understanding, hey, there's more amenities in town.
Level stuff on that side.
Play by ear.
Yeah, just all thoughts, right? Things that came up as we were walking out there. So I think the next step would be a potential design and presentation, or a walkthrough with our group to look at a potential design. So we have, not necessarily now investment, but a real good, strong idea of future investment, whether we do push forward or how we want to creatively work to funding it.
Very
I mean,
flexible on that end.
Very flexible. And I think, everything that I've got so far is just like, we want to work with the town. We want to make this a better amenity. you can see from the pricing, like it could go up if we rent equipment, all that kind of stuff. We are gonna have to add some with the lumber and the crusher fines, but working with us means us doing some work too and getting our partners in there to reduce costs. And that's what this group is really, when we present stuff to the board, that's the whole idea. We're trying to do grassroots. We're trying to keep it here. So just another opportunity with a local partner that willing to reach across.
What's the potential timeline for design and?
I think we could have this done midsummer.
Like installed or like designed done?
Turnkey.
Okay. Definitely up for discussion. Doesn't mean that we would absolutely have funding. It's not a capital project this year, though. There are creative ways of funding things. So it's something that this group can discuss and we can
I'd like to
look
hear
at
from our
potential.
board members and do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I don't play disc golf, but you see it's popular. It's going through the like at Budweiser, you're always seeing dudes out there, people out there. But no, I think it's great. I think it accomplishes what I guess one of my question is for the board. Is this something strategic plan wise that this is bringing people together. How does it fit into that funnel?
Can I answer that? A little
Yeah.
bit of that, as they discussed earlier, safety. We really have talked about both the parking lot and especially if we're getting the docks, the increased use of fishing and just popularity of Wellville, which we want to promote. So the safety piece, them acknowledging that and moving away from that, as well as key strategic piece is bringing dog park to east side to make that equitable. That directly falls in line with one of their holes that goes over where we would propose to put that temporary dog park. So it kind of meets a couple different
Right.
points, as well as bringing accessibility to much larger range of
Yep.
users.
I would have never known that it was like a pro golf course here,
It's very
like it's
difficult.
really.
Yeah.
Would this
I
be?
definitely had like people outside of Wellington comment on the one, because I live in the Knolls, and I was like, oh, you're by the disc. Or the disc golf.
Yeah.
And then I've seen the event.
Yeah.
Like the tournament
Yeah,
over there. It was really
we passed.
actually-
It's awesome.
So this would be ADA accessible.
That's where we would have to look at course design, do some walkarounds. We would try to push it out as much as possible with the understanding, I would think that in its natural state, it's kind of hard to find a disc golf course that's like fully ADA accessible. But if designed properly, a flow could be used to make certain holes in a route accessible as much as possible. I think that's something to discuss, right?
It's kind of interesting you bring that up because I currently am in getting into the design. I work for Discmania and I'm like starting to get into the design and selling of courses. And I've been I just had a meeting a couple weeks ago with the city of Loveland. They're trying to get an ADA accessible course. So we don't have very many of those, but we're working out a way to be able to get at least 3 of 9 holes ADA accessible. So like it's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
Back to your point, obviously I have no idea. There's no way to predict if anything like that shutdown that followed the initial run of COVID-19 would happen again. That was one of the biggest growths we've ever had in disc golf because it's one of the sports you can play by yourself or with a group.
And outside, yeah.
So just be aware that obviously you don't ever want something like that to happen again, but it was one of the things that was very, very good for it was one of the activities people could continue doing.
And you see, you work for Discmania.
Mhm.
Is the popularity on the rise? Are you getting busier and busier? Or
We kind of hit a plateau a little bit. I think all of disc golf did because it was just so oversaturated
Sure.
at a certain point. But I mean, we're kind of still steady moving.
I can say that the area is thirsting for courses.
Okay.
We didn't get growth in courses that matched the growth in disc golf.
You said you can't say that the area is thirsty for courses, or
It's
it
very-
is.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
Okay.
hurting for courses right now. COVID brought in, I think at one point it said it went up 300% of disc golfers that were actively
wow.
playing. That number's probably dropped a little bit just because people have gone back to their original sports, but we didn't get a lot more courses
Okay.
out of that thing. So people like me, the old heads, we got used to really having courses to ourselves, and they're very, very thick right now.
That was my next question. You just called yourself old, and you're not nearly as old as I am, and you're old for the sport, what's the range of, like, what do you say you hit from
I
X
have,
to X?
I'm a tournament director. I carry divisions 12 and under to 75 and over.
Okay, so it's hitting everybody.
Mhm.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
That's great.
Granted, 75 and over, one dude named Frank, and he's
He wins every time.
Frank is.
We tried to take my kids to the course here in town and they got discarded before we even went to Seaside.
Very hard course.
Yeah. I forget what hole it was, so I don't even think we even found the pin. It's like, I'm just gonna go home.
And part of it is there was kind of forced redesign. So Kyle's been involved with the course for a long time.
Yeah.
And there was forced redesigns due to homes coming in and things like that. We did the best we could with what was available. But a full redesign would also fix one of our big issues we have now where signage is wholly off right now.
I was gonna say, I think my kid even looked in the backyard for it. I'm like, it's not gonna be back there.
I think we put in 2011 and the Knolls didn't even exist.
Mhm.
The whole
Yeah.
east side, all those houses, apartments, didn't exist.
I moved here in 2013 and I was looking around for baskets the same way. And it's like, well, the houses came in, we had to move them. So
So we had our moments, but it's time to change.
Absolutely. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Robert, do you have any thoughts?
I don't, I'm sorry, I'm not really here. I'm kind of working and listening at the same time, so no, I mean, I'm excited you guys are here. I'm big, I've been wanting to do some more disc golf stuff for sure, so I'll need to just catch up on everything before I can really get into it, but yeah, I'm really excited you guys are here. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Like John, our family tried it as well, and we went home very, very discouraged because it was very difficult. So I honestly would love to see, you talk about three different type of golfs, like the foot golf, the disc golf. I think that'd be really fun for all age groups. And I think the more activity that we have here in the town of Wellington, the better. And the amount of variety, I think is awesome. So I would vote, yeah, definitely to bring or to do it. Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea if we can
Yep.
pull it off, so.
Definitely wanna get creative about finding some funding for it, that's for sure.
Trustee Daly, do you have anything to add? or not?
Way to come up with a proposal. You guys are rocking it. So, well done. Well done. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm excited to see what you guys decide to.
So I do have a question, like you guys said, like manual labor basically is what you're bringing in to get the 40% up. Is that something, Billy, that we could do as a team too, to bring down the cost as far as like
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
have people, like, I don't know, not as like board members or community members who are willing to help? Is it something that we could bring down the cost by doing that as well on our side or not? I'm just wondering.
I think that
That's kind of combined.
that is like, it is when when speaking with these guys and Avery is very much like. We have the proper equipment if we need to rent an auger for or whatever, for a backhoe or whatever we need to do. We can maybe absorb some of that, but it's, instead of them renting it and getting the labor and all that stuff, Parks Crew is gonna help, maybe Public Works if, obviously have to work that out with them as far as the project goes, but, we have staff that can help out and that's where the cost savings is.
Okay.
Have you guys, with your experience, ever had any municipalities chase grants specific to disc golf?
So currently, we have a tree project at Anheuser-Busch.
Okay,
They had to cut down a ton of their trees. They're gonna be utilizing a grant to put trees in, so
okay,
I don't know about course design specifically, but we have had
They're
course
related.
upgrades using that.
okay.
It really depends on the property, and
Yeah.
the city, obviously, but.
Also, keep in mind, our sport's built off the idea that it attracts people because of its financial savings.
Yeah.
So most of us are pretty used to like, oh, you're gonna give us a piece of land, we'll make everything we can work. So-
Yeah, because there's a lot of in-kind type, contribution from the town, and that's all happening, so that's a perfect equation for grant applications. So, but just want to throw that out there, because if we're dedicating time and equipment and whatever the case is, that looks really good on that application.
For sure.
So,
Additionally, assisting my club specifically, We are a nonprofit organization, so
Look
it
at
does
you.
count for charitable donation as well.
That's great.
That was the most nightmarish 18 months of my life trying to get that out.
Congratulations.
Maintenance, how does that go? How do we like ongoing maintenance and care?
So T-pads are pretty set it and forget it.
Okay.
Baskets are the same way.
Mhm.
The biggest issue we would have would be weeds, grass, the things that usually get taken care of. I will say, last year we did have a couple holes at the current course that were a little difficult to play. Just because we had weeds that were getting up to chest high and things like that. But as long as that's taken care of, that's really, I would say, is our biggest thing. If we can squeeze getting some mosquito spray out there. That'd be great.
Well,
It was everywhere last
Suck
year.
it there, okay.
we would take care of if like a T-pad eroded or something like that would be something that would be under our.
This is
The
gonna be
warranty, yeah.
But it's not like huge items, right? Like, that's what I'm just trying to.
The basket
everybody,
breaks or
like,
something,
There's
yeah,
not a huge maintenance that can.
Mhm. which is cool. It'll stay there for a long time. Multi-golf, disc, like for this specifically, it's not very popular in the US. It hasn't been, but I think there's, I want to say 40 or 50 plus in like Finland, where disc golf is your NFL is Finland. So it's incredibly popular there, but
That was a crazy comparison.
between hockey and.
It's like your
disc golf,
NASCAR.
I mean,
It's not that it's not popular, it just hasn't been seen yet here in the US.
Right.
So this would be the very first one in Colorado, so everyone's gonna be coming to see it.
Where I'm from in Michigan, there was, they put in a foot golf course. And I'm like this, I mean, he built a building for a clubhouse and everything. And I'm like, this isn't gonna go. I mean, it was on the country, and it went. I mean, they do great business. People love it. They love the soccer goal.
Well, in some courses, you know, people will charge, like, there's a lot of really big name courses that pay to play, you know, you'll go and drop $5 in the drop box or pay your dues to go play. That's how Budweiser was for a while. That's how I think it will go back to that. They have like a little QR code you scan, you pay your $5 to go and play for the day. So there's quite a few of those out there too.
Are there sponsorship opportunities with this too?
Yeah,
For sure.
9 of them.
Yeah, that's, if you could sponsor a hole, I mean.
No, that's a good, absolutely, right on the T sign, and we can do basket wraps.
What,
With your
the
logo, your company.
signs that you make, what's the longevity of a sign? Is it good for 5 years? Is it good for?
I think it's a 7-year laminate.
Okay.
You want to scroll into that basket? That was up, that one right
Very
there.
incredible
So
quality.
you can see right there, that's not how a traditional basket looks. The thing on the bottom that says Ultra,
Yeah.
that's a wrap that Dynamic Images helped take care of.
Like
Yeah,
PVC
sometimes.
cut out over the
So
bowl.
you can make it look, that's real first class. You don't see a lot of courses like that. Most
Yeah.
courses are just bare metal and it's not any color on the basket. It looks, I don't know, very prisony. And this one's just really well taken care of. I can tell you that course has been in the ground for 3 years, I think, at this point. And baskets still, with the exception of just dirt, they still look the exact same.
And I mean, the sprinklers that they run out there, just water constantly hitting it. I mean,
And they're still in great
they've
condition.
held up pretty well,
yeah.
surprisingly.
They're powder coated and they're galvanized, so same with the holes that go in the ground for foot golf. Steel is powder coated, so. No
So-
rust.
One of the courses that I threw before had 3 hole locations for each hole.
Mhm.
But that kind of goes away when you include foot golf, right?
Besides like the, you know, if we were to recycle and use make a pro pan, you know, like a
Yeah,
longer.
repurpose our old baskets, we'll have a pro pen that'll probably have 2 positions beyond the foot golf hole.
Okay.
So we'll be able to rotate the course around, keep it interesting for people that are improving, throwing further. Let me try this. So yeah, 3 pin locations on each hole would be ideal.
But your experience is the exact thing that we get a little afraid on seeing is the people, because not only did we lose someone playing Wellington, we lose someone playing disc golf altogether. Bad experience, so.
I think I'm hearing everybody being really in support of this, and I know we've really appreciated you guys coming and seeing us as much as you have over the years and being so communicative. What are the next steps? You know, we don't have a specific budget to say, yes, let's do this and move forward, but I think we're all supportive of it. So what are our options?
I think course design, layout, we'll probably have to do a little community engagement depending on if we do want to use unutilized areas now. Because it will be along the trail, potentially some other houses. Then I think really it's getting, in my opinion, just finding the funding, just really looking for the funding. I have a couple things that we can discuss depending on how other certain projects go. There's always budget amendments that we can look into depending on savings for other capital projects. And this could be something that we look into putting in our next report to the Board of Trustees, which we'll talk about next meeting, I think, and pushing certain things forward as far as up the list. Seeking out grants and or just in the operational budget, maybe even next year, if that's the route that we have to go, or as a capital project next year,
If we have to.
if we have to, yeah.
And so we could make that recommendation to the trustees.
Just like we did last year for the projects this year, yeah. Yep.
Well, this has been on my list for a while,
Yeah,
so whatever we gotta do.
I think the corporate sponsorship potential in this is very high.
Pretty attractive. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You guys could do a ribbon cutting and all the things, and
Yeah.
oh man, it would be so
Yeah.
much.
Well, and another thing on top of that too is like I travel around and I teach at schools and I give clinics and we would donate a bunch of discs and we would have, you know, a full grand opening, give a free clinic and kind of teach it a little bit too, and
I do it.
fundamentals.
Yeah.
Where are you located, this meeting?
We're right off Buttercup
Okay.
in those newer buildings over there.
Would you like to sponsor a whole?
Yeah, oh yeah, we.
Yes.
Who we work for you with, for sure.
Our first one done.
For sure.
20,000.
I'm gonna take that to the higher.
I think what we should do is plan a date with this group to do one of our field trips or walkthroughs, talk with them on site. Talk through all the options for different course designs
It's like a
for
half hour till dark.
football.
Let's go.
I still have about an hour and a half worth of agenda to get through, so. And then move forward with getting the design and seeing where we would need to do either community engagement or just trying to find the creative funding. If we want to really try to.
As far as this 9 goes, we want to keep it on the property that we already have.
Okay.
We don't want to try and extend this to the new harvest property.
Okay.
Right, not yet.
No, not
We just
quite
wanna make
yet.
sure
We like
that-
to use what we have.
Okay.
'Cause we do have a lot of space for 9 holes. It'll be.
Okay, well then, I guess
Makes
if we don't need to go out there and look at design, if that's something that you guys could present to us, is get the design. Get it over to me, I'll get it out to this group, we can look into.
Okay, I think Avery's gonna be in town next month, so. We're ready to keep moving, let's do it.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Cool. All right,
Sounds
we're
good.
done here.
Do you have any action items for us other than great?
I would say that'd be the big swing right now.
Cool.
Since we have the proposal, we have proposal and a potential design, we can really sit down and how we'll fund it.
Yeah.
Send
we'll
over
get
some
everybody.
strategic ideas for pool sponsors, because I'm sure you guys know more than we would. So if you want to send any names or contacts over. we're Looking for some of those options, yeah.
Billy, if we came up with all the money, would we have to take it to board trustees for anything? If, say we got enough sponsorship.
Yeah, because it's outside, well, I think so. I
Okay.
think it's the appropriate thing to do, especially since we're redesigning an amenity and it's above the threshold for initial spending, plus it's not on the CIP for this year. But again, they've been very, very workable with ours. I'm just saying, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would want to in good faith, just to let them know the things that we're doing. Potentially what we try to do is have everything in place. If we don't get the full funding, just say that it's something that we present to them at our next Board of Trustees update for PROST and just say, hey, this has moved up our list. Here's the way we're trying to tackle it. Give them this information, give them the course design, potentially have them come in and speak, whatever kind of engagement we would want to do with them to see how passionate both sides are. And then present any options for funding to them if things needed to change.
ideally the whole budget would have, it would have to be budgeted, and then you would seek them to, like, anybody to fill it in. But if it has to be budgeted first before you can seek
Sure.
donations or grants or whatever, so that kind of makes sense. It would have to go.
The one thing that's nice about this project though, is it is, I believe it would fall under a sole source because there's really nobody else that can put this out there. So we don't have to go out and get multiple bids for one product because no other company really can do what they do. So if it is something we're passionate about, you know, it's a little bit easier to move forward with it, but we still have to follow the right channels.
Yeah.
It's under purchase. Yeah. I'm excited.
Me too. Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I think they want us to leave now.
Yeah, you can,
Anything else? It's the same thing you got up there, but.
if anybody wants to look at it, I mean,
Yeah.
I can keep it in my office for two. It's definitely important. I mean, that's something maybe.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
you could look at.
Good show, everybody. Thank you.
You guys too. Sorry for the desk. You guys have 5 minutes. I appreciate
Bye,
it.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Can you
you.
put that turf up in the frame or something?
Yeah. Put it in the park sock.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Prost.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You were able to, I would have scooched over for you to begin with.
This is great. Opens, excited to see about what we can do over at the park or at the ponds area too and get that.
It's kind of a balance, right? I think,
Yeah.
one thing that has been discussed around, you know, the town staff lately is just, there are a lot of pieces hanging there. There are a lot of things around town we want to all accomplish. We all have our direct goals within our departments, but sometimes there just needs to be a flick of a domino and a couple other things can happen, you know? Not saying we will wait to do the dog park until this goes, but like kind of incorporating 2 big wins that we've all been talking about for, John, how long is this, the disc golf and
A couple of years now.
yeah,
Easily.
East Side Dog Park's probably been up since those houses have
Yes.
gone up, right? So I think we start working again, all the amenities that we have and improving them.
Yeah, because it's a rough thing to say we're taking an amenity from the east side without, because like technically it won't be there anymore, right? So if you're like, we're removing this from the east side
Mhm.
without anything to replace it as a
Mhm.
benefit, that might be a hard pill to swallow, or east siders feeling a little left out, so I think it's great to consider all those things together.
To accommodate the dog park.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing we could talk about there too is just keeping a couple baskets over there in not where we have pads or anything that they're throwing over areas, but there are some spaces still that if we left a hole or two and just said, hey, if you want to practice,
Yeah,
feel free to use the baskets, just like we would do at WCP if we wanted to just give that amenity to the local neighborhoods that don't have it.
it's a great idea.
Okay.
So did I catch they had, they were gonna supply the labor on the deal? Is that?
So here, let's go back, real quick. And just look at this. So this is, so if they were to come in with the design and everything that is included, all the signs, all the holes, the foot golf holes, as well as the park golf opportunity too, everything for all 9 holes. If they just walked in and built it, they would charge, let's just call it $45,000. If we supply the labor and help, and then we'll just buy some of the, basically the timber and the crusher fines, they're doing the turf that goes on top, and we do the labor with them and their pro course designer. Basically that saves $20,000. I know that I will put that in quotations because some of that will be eaten with the things I just discussed, but it is in kind. So grant opportunities would be there if we're doing the work using our machinery. You know, I don't know what the breakdown would be because they don't have the lumber cost on here and everything. So obviously we're not saving $20,000. We're spending $25,000, but their cost is a lot higher to just go put it in. And, you know, some of the product is definitely being discounted in that, because I don't think that $20,000 would go to timber, crusher fines and labor, if that makes sense.
Okay.
This conference is really organized.
Every time they
Wow.
come to a meeting, they always just are really well thought out. So will we want to put this on the next agenda? Rediscuss, talk
Yep.
about opportunities. I'm hoping they'll have a design by then, maybe by the next meeting.
I hope so. Like I said, I just called Avery up and I was just like, hey, I was hoping that they would have this for us. I was like, Avery, nice to talk to you. I haven't got anything from them. They're like, oh, we were talking back and forth. When's your meeting? I said, well, it's in a couple of days. He's like, I'll get your proposal by the end of today. I was like, okay.
Wow.
And he got me a proposal.
Okay, Kristen.
He's all about it. I mean, he's been around and seen courses across the world, and they just want to put one in our community, which is pretty cool.
Great.
And I think this is something to me that's kind of undervalued with
Yeah.
the design right now and just having correct signage and stuff. It's like we just talked about signs last meeting and how we need to continue that. So okay. Next agenda. So
Yeah, we'll just move on. We'll just head into WCP Memorial updates.
okay. I wanted to throw this up here. We've just had discussion about it. I am gonna have a meeting tomorrow with the public works engineer that drew this up. We're just gonna go out on site. I listed all of the things that we've talked about at the PROST meetings, whether it be stamped approvals needed, floodplain issues, whether or not, we're gonna need company to come in and contract for the concrete or whether we can do it in-house. He brought up issues with potentially the soil being moved. Great if Public Works does it, but we probably want an engineer to come out and do compaction tests and make sure that it's ready to pour. So we're going to talk about all that. He actually gave some fairly potential reasonable price for that. I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. But it was like $1,200. He's like, we had someone come out and do multiple tests over the process for not as much as you would think. The other thing that Public Works is doing right now, that they have their annual concrete contract for downtown. So there's a chance that for a couple of our projects or projects that have already been approved by the board that we're gonna get done internally, we can partner with that for price. So that would give us, we have the design. If we go off of this design, what we would expect to get charged for the concrete based on the price of that contract. So that's in progress now. So there's no, it's out for bid, right? So no updates on that, but all this hopefully will kind of wrap into the pricing. Then we can maybe just do it internally. What are your thoughts?
Right.
Okay.
Anything to keep this project moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we got a hunk of concrete out there, we'd be able to start moving on flagpoles and stuff like that. We've got momentum.
Yeah.
So Billy, having been gone and not been able, I haven't even had a chance honestly to look at previous minutes, but this is the preliminary design or just something that you already have decided on or?
No, nothing. This is a little different view than before, but it's nothing new. This was presented by town of Wellington engineering staff.
Okay.
Probably almost about a year ago, maybe 9 or 10 months ago. And then we've had the rendering drawings as well that kind of give an idea of what we're looking for on a planerscape. So there in all the previous packets, none of this had been changed. I will say that he designed it and he told me he designed it. So technically it would stay out of that one line that's right there, which would be the floodplain.
Right, okay.
If we stay out of it, there's also a side scope of the slope that would show the grading needed to appease not having the railing put on it, as well as staying out of the floodplain. Because we are going to go look at it on site tomorrow real quick. I can bring updates, I can email updates of anything, but what I would like to do hopefully is just think about generating cost from this group. Like let's look up flagpoles, let's look up ADA benches that meet our standards. The concrete one is going to be the big one. I can get a price from a potential quote from the electrician that we would potentially use because he is the one that is like on call for us. So we can go right there. I think we can start generating costs and just push it. If maybe someone wants to volunteer taking some of the pieces, all the pieces of the amenities, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
benches
some of
and
the
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, I can send it out. I'm just saying if someone raised their hand, we
Okay.
can shoot it out and start throwing it that way.
Well, the benches, would we want to keep those in with our design standards?
It'd have to be
So
design
we'd already
standards.
We already have a vendor for that, right? A vendor
Potentially,
for
I would want to reach out because there are a couple different vendors that we could use,
Okay.
depending on what, some vendors have different styles stylistically that would still meet some of what all of our standards, right? Maybe a little different for a project like this, but still would meet our standards.
Let me ask you this, everybody, I had gone out to a lot of the different memorials. I went to Greeley, I went to Loveland, and I went to Fort Collins, and I took pictures. And I was going to try and put like something together so that people could see, if you had not been there, to see what kind of, I mean, just the difference and how they place things and the different type of materials. I thought would be really interesting to see. But I also called each one of the cities, and I have a call into them to see. I was going to try to get projected costs, because when I was out at the site, it shows like their donors, and it shows all this type of stuff. So I took pictures because I thought, what a great thing. And not necessarily are they all from Greeley or Loveland or Fort Collins. They're kind of from all over in northern Colorado. And I thought, just to even compile like a list of vendors or people that they went to get this stuff, where we could get pricing. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want me to continue to pursue that, yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely, because
Yeah.
we can rediscuss that, but that's on the bottom of the calendar that I send the link to all the time, the future meetings calendar, there's also that contacts list. So when you get those, put them on there. It's got all the columns for what this project is for,
Okay.
who the contact is. If you want to be the main point of contact, put your name in there. You can give them mine as well. Like all that stuff it's already set up in a spreadsheet for different projects.
It's great.
Yeah, it's just a different tab on the bottom of that Excel sheet.
Okay, I just have to look for it.
Okay, that's good.
Thanks.
So I reached out this last between meeting to the CSU Department of Horticulture and Design and Landscape Design. I think that's the name of it. And they got back to me, and there's a process that they team up with people. And I want to show you kind of what some of their drawings were that they just like obviously landscape design, but they'll design elevations of where things are to be. Kind of an overall. The cost, there is a cost associated with it, and let me minimize this a little bit. It was super reasonable. If the design is 10,000 square feet or smaller, $350, 600 if it's bigger than. So I've turned in the drawings to them of what we've got. I'm waiting to hear a response back. So I don't know if you want me to keep going with that. I think with fundraising stuff, and if we had some good design drawings, it would be easier to get funding. And you want to keep moving forward? Can I spend $600, about $350? How do we do that?
Talk about it. That is something that potentially could just operationally.
Yeah,
But
or you can ask for a $600 landscape planning sponsor.
Sponsor.
Like that could be one of the line items on
Okay.
Yep,
So keep it moving forward.
definitely.
Once you get CSU involved, you probably open up all kinds of other connections and stuff too, so that's lovely. Great job, guys.
Yeah, so along with that, use that spreadsheet.
I'll Google flagpoles.
Robert got it.
Do something.
Well, maybe, I think that's the thing where we
Yeah.
reach out to those who put them in, work with Teresa. I mean, American Legion probably has some contacts for flagpoles. I don't know. Local partners for that, and then where we reach out, maybe more, we can kind of generate that idea of sponsorship for those specific amenities. I'll work on the benches because that's something that I have that goes well with the playground stuff. I can look at that specific amenity and keep it within the design standards.
And Mike's happy to update the drawings a little bit if we need that to be any cleaner or anything better. He did mention if we wanted that cleaned up any more for showing to people, he's willing to do that. This is great just to have the schematics, but if we need like the, what do you call it? More of that 3D look, we can update that. So
Okay.
I think we're on a good path.
I think so.
Anybody have anything else to add? This part of the process? Wish list.
Just up here, because last time we talked about everybody picking their stuff and some people weren't here, so I thought that we would really try to make sure we're all on the same page. The disc golf thing might have changed stuff, as well as pushing forward for sure. The dog park, that's kind of what I had on one of the items. I did go in, so this list has been sent out. If you want me to push it back out again, so you can get, if you didn't get any of the updates, these should all be, yellow are things that I think we're all talked about working on. Red are things that we either have done or are very close to completion, like signs at parks. We have all the signs built, they just need to be put in. So I'm not saying that that project's done, but it's something that's kind of off of our radar as a PROST board that I'm just kind of pushing through to the very end with Public Works and the contracted company. These are things that are completely done, poured in place there.
I think the only thing that is missing from this is, and what we've continually talked about, is really getting those town map or the maps made, right?
Yep. So I have, now that our new communications and marketing specialist is online, I've had a conversation with he and Kelly, and we're gonna sit down. I think there's a way with his background that we can just do it internally. And that is something that I had a conversation with last week with one of them, and the week previous. We're gonna sit down within the next few weeks and do it.
Okay.
So I pushed it out. So yes. And then with the ultimate goal also of having a digital similar version that we can update at the same time, so that
Yes.
every annual, when we add things, we can update it digitally, then just pull it off, reprint it, pull it off, reprint it. So it's kind of that combination, but we will get something as soon as possible.
We're discussing a map that we can pass out, that somebody could grab at the library or some of the public areas, so they know how many great parks we have in the town of Wellington. A lot of people move here and they only know about one or two, and they don't know that we have a lot more than that.
I don't know half the stuff we have in the town. That was stupendous.
Okay, cool. So just, since we were talking really fast about that item, I just want to make sure you knew that that's kind of what we're
Yeah.
discussing, is trying to make sure everybody knows what we have.
Is that something that the chamber?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that might align with timing for chamber directory too, if you wanted to, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is originally what we had come up with years ago, for the parks, and so we're trying to come up with something similar that we can, like I said, get out to the community.
It's updated, since we've made additions.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff. Okay, great.
And we have the ability to do those cool maps now, where you click the thing and it shows you what's at that spot on the map. That would be a cool mix. Too.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm saying. That's the goal, is to take
okay.
that same model, do it in a digital version where you can click, and you can actually see like a Google Maps of it as well. Like layers would look something like that.
Yeah.
Then you can see a Google map of all the streets, so you know how to get there. But then also when we update, you just kind of click on the park, and if disc golf changes, then you just click on it, and here's the new amenities, take pictures, upload it. And that kind of goes also hand in hand with our idea of doing internally all of our asset mapping and tracking and stuff like that. So hopefully eventually, long term, it'll all kind of be, that will all, click on a tree, you'll know what kind of tree it is, and the public will have access to that.
We should.
It'll take a little.
Yeah.
Like I said, long-term goals there, short-term, getting something like that out, but rolling with it with a purpose is what I'm saying, having that as the first phase, with being able to back it up as we move forward.
Okay. Yeah, that's the only like wish list. I'm like, I think that's missing is trying to get that mapping out.
I did some, just Googling again for, outdoor workout stations and stuff. And, pricings, start at 1,000. Most everything is 4,000. And then it goes up to 16, and then you just keep going. So,
But
I
they're
mean,
expensive.
yeah, they're expensive.
Really
So I mean, if we're looking at doing something along the trails, I would say the disc golf is probably a better way to go. Like it would be,
But as you mentioned,
More substantial.
looking for partnerships with the local gyms,
Yeah.
seeing what where they're at. But also next CIP ask, right? If that's something we want to do in bulk and get 6 of them along the trail. I forgot to, I was at a park in Wyoming, in Cheyenne. And I don't know where those photos went. Shoot, maybe next meeting I will present them in the packet. I didn't have it, I wasn't there until the packet was pushed, but they had some really cool options just outside their park. Not necessarily on a trail, but it had like 3 or 4 different apparatuses with each one, and they're interactive, but they're very much workout stations. And I was like, I talked to Robert about these because that's one of his passions. So I'll put that in the next packet just as options. And if you want to send me some information, I can look that up. We can just continue that conversation. I think that would be something good.
I mean, I guess I'm just still trying to figure out what kind of monies are we thinking about trying to get some of these little projects done with. It's still, I mean, wish list is highlighted, but there's no dollar sign sitting next to anything that even decide yay or nay. I mean, we could axe everything and do something, you know, that's what I'm saying. So what's $4,000 good to put in a pull-up bar? All in favor, say, you know, that's what I'm trying to, you know, like, where are we? What kind of money are we looking at?
Well,
What kind of-
one of the main ones that we had looked at last year, moving into this year, was the redesign of the viewpoint course. So the initial bid, and we have to get more, we're looking at, what was the bid, like anywhere from 24 to 32,000. I think it was somewhere in that range. Resurfacing, multi-use, bringing in, you know, everything strategically plan aligned with gathering spaces, all that stuff. That's what we presented as one of the projects of the Board of Trustees, that they agreed to, you know, increase that limit that we had on that certain budget line. So that line went from the 30,000, which is kind of just an operational cost, to 65,000. I do, you know, operationally need some of that budget to be able to do the things that we have to do when things break and we replace stuff. As we all know, playground equipment isn't cheap, fencing isn't cheap, but that's a pretty decent amount if you consider, you know, throughout the year, maybe we'll use hopefully like 20,000 of that operationally, $45,000 to work with, give or take. That's where the discussion comes from, right? If we shoot for the dog park and we shoot for the multi-use court, I don't know, that probably eats up a good amount of that, but that doesn't mean that, again, we can't get creative with other ways to fund. If we save on the grant money with the dock, we don't know where that's at right now. That's a huge savings there. We present to the board and say, look, we saved this much on one capital project. Can we swing that money somewhere else? Because we're doing the right thing. So that's why the ideas are out there. You guys just need to kind of really force where we're gonna go
We
with
should get
those.
get bids on the resurfacing.
Yeah.
part, then
It
that'd
is
be-
the time of season for those people to start coming back out and doing their work. So,
So if we're looking at.
we'll get them out there. Yep. Aaron talked about going out there with me.
So we have more contacts to get a hold of for that.
As hard as they are to get a hold of, just the one guy, there is a company out of Denver that has said they will come up, but I do need 3 beds. So I don't know if you want to start looking as well, or anybody just
Are
start.
you still referring to the resurfacing?
The resurfacing, yes,
Because I was
I'm
gonna say,
sorry.
Like, Windsor just resurfaced, basketball courts that they have pickleball courts on, and they're outdoor courts, so I will check with, the guy who spearheaded that whole thing.
Yep.
And see if we can't maybe get him to give us a name.
Yep, they had a pretty large scale project going
Right.
on there. But I'll reach.
No, I know, but I mean,
Yeah, no,
a bit, they could go over and
absolutely,
look at it and-
absolutely.
and see,
Give
give us you know.
that's great. If you want to reach out to them, perfect.
I have a question too, like Laura, when you were talking about like the maps to let people know about what's in the community and everything, does the community and are they aware and are we I know it's on the website, but how many people know in the community that we have a wish list and some of the things that we're working with or for? Because my point is if the community members know about this and they're like, oh my gosh, I love disc golf or I love this or whatever, hey, can I put money toward, you know what I'm saying? I mean, then it all falls back into that whole fundraising thing where we can pull a lot of money in and get a lot of things done, a lot. Potential.
I'm only laughing is because we have a meeting every month and no one shows up. So that's the part of the community is like,
You mean here?
come here, yeah.
Yeah, this is where you come.
This is where you
Maybe
come.
like talking
But I
about
don't
like.
know that people know that.
organizing
I would not have
the
known that.
fundraiser.
This list is driven by community members that have come in over the last several years.
Oh, okay.
So we've really tried, so when people come in and they do have a non-agenda item or they want to come in and say, hey, we need this. This list is based on people coming in and saying, this is what we want.
Okay, so
There's been surveys done too at some of the
where
park events,
people have,
which we've gotten a lot of great ideas from.
Park and play events, different community events, as well as budget bonanza ideas come from that.
Okay.
That was my whole presentation at Budget Bonanza was what do you want to see us expand on in the Parks Department, which comes directly to here. That's
I just didn't
Were you also
know.
like inquiring about like fundraising though, potentially with community
Well, I
members?
think there's always potential for fundraising regardless of how we go about it. I mean, I think,
Organize one?
Mhm.
Getting more people here would definitely help as well, so we have more people to help volunteer and help on different committees. We've talked about having those committees and having the volunteers to help, so that would be huge. And so how we can do that, I did see that they did promote today, or yesterday on social media, that this meeting was happening. We're trying to get more people to come in, but we could continue to do that and get more.
I think the wish list was shared during you guys' last update too, but I can include that in my board report if you'd like to, as well, just to reference it more frequently. I mean, just through that forum, but.
and I have
That like the disco or the disco, the disc mania group would want to organize like an event to fundraise for like that project. And if they volunteer themselves and like do like kind of a fun day where they teach people about disc golf. And like all the other things, and like this is what we're trying to, help improve in our community. And it's something that's like basically a tourist attraction, honestly. Like I said, like I have friends that don't live in Wellington, but they come here specifically for this.
I mean, and that kind of goes with my.
That's how I knew about it.
What my whole thought is if the towns were like, we can take $10,000 and put it in disc golf mania, and you want to build, you can raise 10,000 too. I know they come and say with discounts and stuff like that, but if they really want to do it, they could be out there hustling, trying to find the money to match the town's money. So are we willing to give a little now to see if they can come up with the extra half? Yes.
I don't know, like if there's potential for the town to really embrace being like just a hub for it too, and draw people in and, like stuff like that. There could be like an ongoing incentive for that too, especially if we hosted more events, for this community. So I don't know how big it is either to talk about. But that one event I saw, it looked like it had a good turnout, I thought. And I was like, that's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, you always think you're gonna get a ton of people, but when you do stuff for free through the deal, no one pays much. The people that do it, they don't. I mean, you can't get any money from people that go to skate parks or like, they're already free. Why the hell am I gonna give you any money?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's disc golf's kind of the same thing. It's already free. So it's just hard, without trying to find. It's really fun.
This project specifically, and what we found over the years is once we have that design, it just opens up all the floodgates, right? Everyone gets excited and we can present it to the community and we can talk to sponsors.
right. That's what I was saying.
great.
if we get the design, then we
Yeah.
do it at a board of trustees update. That's where we get the people watching and the community engagement.
Yeah, I think that's a great
More
one.
folks, yeah. Okay,
Is the next one on? the
what do you
schedule?
wanna do? How can we keep this moving forward? I'm worried about the next meeting, that is going to get possibly long. What were your hopes to get through tonight? What can we,
We can make this short. You mean,
for the wish list?
oh. Digital document, everybody can work on it, everybody can talk about it, let's email about it. We still haven't kind of gained that traction of like. This is a huge document, the future calendar is a huge document, those drive me to. The projects you want me to seek out, the conversation is great, but we do have limited time and we can't make an agenda that's. 14 items long, especially when we have upcoming events that we need to talk about or have guest speakers. Next time Cody comes in, we know that's gonna take a little while. So just the email chain, just keep talking about it. Like, let's pursue this. When I get one person in saying, let's go make that meeting, let's get there. I'll let you guys know where WCP ends up tomorrow after I talk with engineering. So
Okay,
just that engagement. Let's just keep the
get on it, okay.
keep the conversation going. If we need, specific emails for projects, that's fine. We have, texting is kind of a little bit rough, but when we step up and take some ownership over certain things, maybe get that started, fire off an email to the group and say, hey, I'm gonna, like Teresa, it'd be nice to know that information that you went out there and got that information prior to here, so everybody else could already have that information, understood and gathered.
Okay.
So that we can move things a little quicker. So we're not only just discussing here, we're actually making action here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's what we had, we had that intent, right? Now we have a full board. Now we're gonna have people, we're doing things on the outside. We are having committees, volunteers. So by the time we get here, it's just kind of a quick download, making sure everybody's on the same page. and
Very much so.
Moving on to the next thing. Yeah.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting things to the final action, and then we make the.
So I had a question on, say, wish list. I sat in the strategic plan last night for the city of the town of Wellington. And recreation centers comes up and like that's something that's a big deal to people that they, a lot of people would like to see. We know it's gonna be a long term. I mean, it's not gonna happen this summer, next summer, the following probably. But how do we keep momentum going towards it? I mean, or don't we talk about it? I mean, is it like, I know it's so far away that is it just waste of breath right now talking in a meeting like this? Or do we have any action? Does anything need to be done ground level to get it going?
Park and Rec master plan, I think, will help
Yeah.
move that. I think that is, in my opinion, having a Parks and Rec master plan, Parks and Trails master plan, Parks Rec Trails, however we want to phrase that, is going to be the first step, because that will give us the amenities we need. Rec center feasibility is just,
Getting a little.
I think a secondary opportunity for that. There's so many things that go with getting a rec center. It's not just the idea of having one. It's the domino thing, right? There are a lot of things that still need to happen in this town on a large scale before we can even support that. It should never come off the table, in my opinion.
Right, but if it stays on the table and we don't ever do anything about it, why is it on the table? You know what I mean?
Right. I think what we need to focus on is the Park and Rec master plan, is this group. And that's why it's on the agenda tonight, is just saying, like, when we go to the Board of Trustees, we might have our few projects and updates, but we need to push that Park and Rec master plan and make sure they know that when we come up with the numbers for how much we think it's going to projected cost, that needs to be on next year's CIP as a rollover from last year's or the last few years' strategic plan.
Yeah.
That has to be something that we push here. And I think that drives that next step towards a rec center.
Yeah.
Because it is acquiring, doing the feasibility, what's going to go in there, how much staffing is going to be there, the land needed for it,
How's it gonna get funded?
how's it gonna get funded? And there's creative ways to do that, but until we have like the overall plan of where we're headed,
Mhm.
it's kind of hard to just say, let's plop a rec center.
Sure,
you know.
sure, and that's, obviously, I know there's more into it than that.
I know you do.
You know, and then the other thing is just, what do you want horsepower behind on any of these? Like, I know the red ones, none of our horsepower needs to be into it because it's done.
Mhm.
Or, like you said, we're not planting the signs, this group. So we don't need to much talk about that. The yellow, is that where we need to focus all of our efforts, is the yellow?
My question to you is it?
Yeah.
This is the group that decides, like, I don't want to be the one that makes the decision. That's
Sure.
why you guys are here. You kind of dial in what you want me to pursue, right? And then I need the help based on the projects and what I see. Like, all of these things on here are things we need. I think if we said, can we put yellow on all these, we'd be like, let's go.
Right.
Right? But as we discussed, until, some of these, until we have the Park and Rec master plan, let's, within what we've talked about budget,
Mhm.
let's put our energy there.
I'm thinking we have $30,000 to work with. How can we get the resurfacing court done? That would be, let's get the 3 bids for that. So that'll take out a percentage of it. Take off the exercise equipment thing, because that's already $4,000 or $5,000. I'd rather put $4,000 or $5,000 into the disc golf mania, which would drop that down into 20,000.
Mhm.
So now we possibly with 30,000 can get near those 2 things done.
Yeah.
I mean, those are 2 humongous things. Escape park stuff, I think could fall. I mean, I just have so much going on right now. I don't think I can even do what I've done the last 3 years, but there is holes literally in the ramp that need to be fixed, which should be considered a broken slide. In my opinion.
Maintenance issue.
Done maintenance, like it should just be send a carpenter over there, fix the wood, or
On the side, on the
top.
Okay.
On top deck, so there's.
but it's not the actual,
Not the actual ramp, yeah, that's still good.
hopefully that's done by the end of this week, just so you know.
Okay, so, I mean, so those are things that,
That, that's one of my
cool.
updates when we get down to updates, but yeah.
So I mean, so that's, so I mean, that's $5,000 that I've been spending at the skate park every year.
Mhm.
That, so then throw that back into these guys too. Because it would cost way more than 5,000 if I can't do the labor on it. I just can't, I'm just too busy this year to take on that project, unless the town really wants to fill in the north side for whatever reason. Because we're really jonesing to do something there for whatever reason, but I mean, it's pretty much is what it is, so.
North side,
The gap between the sidewalk and the park.
that's something that we've talked about, and there is a potential that we can work with that contractor I was talking about, once Public Works Associates, that we can maybe, because it is a hazard that has been identified and it is not a continuous surface, there is a chance that we could use ADA money that the town has
Cool.
annually
Okay.
to actually make that improvement so it is accessible for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And I think I've told this group this too. Sursa came in and did an audit. One of the other things we have to do is continue the path that goes on the north side that juts over into the basketball court. We need to rip out a little piece of that asphalt to continue that path so there's no expanding transitions there. And hopefully the goal is to use ADA money. So that would be external to this budget, but things that we have to do for multiple reasons within the town.
So we're just getting something done there and making it a surface that's usable.
I have a recommendation maybe, and I think it kind of acknowledges both of what you guys said, and we've kind of approached this in the past, but like you have the wish list and you have the items highlighted, right? What, if it were me, I would categorize all the highlighted items as short-term, long-term, even short-term, 2-year, long-term, right? Because 2-year means you need to consider it for next year's budget,
Mhm.
right? But if it's long-term, then you need to consider what needs to happen to make the planning occur for that to happen in the future. And so if you were to come and say, these are the projects that we think we can accomplish within, what we're working with this year, right? And we appreciate your support. This is our plan. This is our wins, right? Which you guys have done really well in the past. And then say, here's our 2-year projects that we think should be included for the budget next year. It's early in the season, but like planting those seeds is a great idea, especially if anything's a larger item that maybe would need to be considered separately.
Larger items, maybe like that need like stages.
Yeah, just like the viewpoint,
Yeah.
the viewpoint one. So since that was like a large ticket item, it was considered and added to be included in the budget this year, above and beyond what it normally would be. So, and then you need to have the long-term things. And the cool thing is if you have a short-term or 2-year item, like the Parks and Rec Master Plan, then you then make a dotted line saying this contributes to the long-term goals. Because everybody here knows none of those other things can happen until that plan's done, right? That's very clear here. Everybody's aware of that in this group. But I think if you really drew that line and said that the reason why this is this year and next year is because if we're ever going to get there, these things have to happen. So, yeah, and I think you just need, because those long-term goals are just as important, but we know we can't approach them until something's done. But I think extending that knowledge is something that would be really important to do. So
I'll work on organizing this list a little bit better. We've gone through so many iterations. over the
Right, there were
years.
like 3 different ones that I had to
Yeah.
wade through and.
Yeah, so we can work on getting this more organized and kind of
Yeah,
That's,
show everybody.
yeah, no,
what
it's
to think
awesome.
about.
and
my brain just looks right, bam, spend and do right now. That's
Right, yeah.
exactly what I'm at. It's like-
but for my
Well, maybe
question,
we could
maybe,
even, like you're talking about, Rebecca, like numbering these, like saying, okay,
Yeah.
these are our short-term goals. This is number 1,
Mhm.
2, and 3. So it's very clear. We have clarification of what we're working toward. Because for me, when I look at this, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, I see like disc golf course renovation, then I see the disc golf course up here. Is that one and the same, or are those 2 different things? You know what I'm saying? And then also like with the renovation of the basketball, as much as I would like to see pickleball courts, is that park really used quite a bit by the community, or is that something that is, I mean.
Right now, the hoops are not in good, the basketball hoops are not in good shape. The
Right.
court is awful.
Right,
And so it's used as a green space because they've got a huge field there,
right.
but it would be used as pickleball.
I think it would be, but I guess what I'm saying is it okay, well, for pickleball, yes, and I'm all about pickleball, but I guess I'm trying to see the wider picture as far as like basketball. I mean, is it gonna be used for basketball?
It
Is
is
it
used for
something?
basketball.
It is.
It
used for
is.
basketball.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
right here.
so that's a really important one then, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's important. Dog park, it sounds like we've been
And
Big
working on
resurface
that
is
for like
probably,
years.
uh,
So to me, that seems like that should be at the top of the agenda almost, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I would
that's
agree with,
But you're talking about viewpoint.
Viewpoint.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would, that's the
Yeah.
pickleball and basketball. That's the whole,
So I think
trying to do everything in one shot there.
For
there's
this-
really a short list too, so that way
Yeah.
when he sees an opportunity, you can chase it because it's on a short list.
for the sake of moving forward, let's. In my mind, everything that you guys talk about is, let's really reach out for the viewpoint, right? I think that meets everybody's needs as far as moving a project forward that we've talked about plenty and presented to the board, as well as the dog park, as well as investing some time and effort into seeking out where this goes. As 1, 2, and 3 short-term this year, let's see what we can do. Maybe pushing the Discmania, the redesign to next year if we need the funding into next year. I'll work with Laurel to get this list kind of dialed in a little bit better. And then we'll send it back out and see what everybody thinks as far as how we can look at those 2 to 4 year to 5 to 10 year priorities.
So dog park wise, are we looking at a fencing company to get the supplies from, or? I mean, what do you-
We'll have to see, but I have approached Public Works and they would be on board with helping us build it if we wanted to do it internally. The idea is to do kind of like a pilot, because we don't have really any amenities over there right now, but if we put it out as a pilot, get a QR code, get some community engagement on what they would like to see in the future there, if we were to continue that as a dog park, how often it's used, all that kind of stuff, get some metrics. Then make it more, I mean, the fencing can never be more permanent because it is it is part of the drainage system, because it's in a pond technically. But adding, potentially over at Wellville Park, adding, We have an opportunity to get water, but we would need funding to put the tap in and drive a line to,
So
and
what
then we
could
would
we
need,
do is, what can I do?
what could
For
you
the dog park.
make it a priority and I'll, I think it's something that is a priority, just making sure that we
Okay, yeah, I guess.
push that to
It
the
is
top of the
It's a
list.
priority,
It is
yeah.
a
I thought it was
Right.
a priority. And it
Yes,
sounded like
no,
it-
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is.
Yeah, no, it
All the
is.
fishing docks, we really want to make sure
Yeah.
those are the
So
two
cool,
things
okay.
we're really
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to accomplish
Right.
on this side.
All right.
Is huge.
Yeah.
So you want to get going on it?
Yeah, well, for sure, but I also wanna, just to be honest, I don't wanna just throw it in there before we move the disc golf with the idea. I mean, we can, but if they're gonna move that, do we do it now? Do we wait till they pull the baskets for safety for the dog park?
Yeah. This presentation really made me feel like waiting would be safer.
Waiting on the dog park for these guys?
There's already so many obstacles, then being that there is the potential for them throwing right over the dog park. Because that is exactly where one of the pads and holes at.
Or would they be cool with just moving it and putting it in the basket? Just somewhere else around there, because it's gonna go away anyways?
Do you want me to approach them and just say, hey, do you mind just with the idea that, I mean, at some point, we're gonna work on this, right? We're gonna get this done at some point.
We need to have something.
Working with them
Yeah.
to remove that specific hole so that we're not even in
I think
in a
it's fair.
safety
I think it's a fair request.
hazard.
It would definitely be a removal though, not a relocate,
Right.
because that would be a whole nother.
I mean, talking like even as far as being a hole, just relocate it so someone can go out there and fiddle putts with it, like not throw it in the trash.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with what John said and just taking that hole out completely. The only problem is with the course designed now, it would change the flow because it starts out that very far corner and there's a hole already on the
I
east
guess I
side,
get lost
so.
that they're so serious about doing 18 holes.
Yeah.
And it's like.
Well, I think obviously they're willing to work with us. Let me just reach out and see what
Mhm.
those options are. Okay, I'll do that because I would love to get the dog park in sooner rather than later. But I also don't want to just put it there and have the confusion and then they're worried about safety and
It's already a safety issue.
it's already a safety issue. And then you're adding people going there for what we assume is going to be hopefully a fairly heavily used dog park. So I guess my idea was just that we do it as
Joint.
an idea for a temporary thing where we're getting the metrics with the hopes that it stays as a permanent fixture there. And then we get more funding to add amenities, whether we turn it into, if the community wants some of the agility stuff in there, because it's a big open area. Or, we get the funding for a water fountain, which we'll need eventually, but then we have, all the stuff that comes later. We can probably do the fence this year, give them the opportunity
I
to
think
then
that's
give us
perfect.
the
Yeah,
feedback.
you get the, this is what we have.
Right.
Now how do we make it cooler?
There you go.
That's the.
Yeah, that's great.
I think
So-
that's good. And I think they'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So-
to do it.
Big open area and then a shy dog area, because I think those are things that we need to accommodate, those two things, but
Mhm.
other than that,
It's perfect.
okay.
It's good.
Those two at the top of the list, disc golf on there as well. We'll
Okay.
redo the list.
The updated,
Okay, what's next?
Arbor Day.
Just a quick update, we got this out, we've got our partners for Arbor Day. Bartlett's gonna do the tree
Yay.
installation and demonstration. Public Library's gonna do their normal thing. We're gonna be there, obviously, park and play, so the idea is to mark this
What day was that?
mark this down, April 27th. Would love to have this group out there. Also an opportunity to show the community our list, say what we could have a PROST booth there. I think that's what we were talking about is public engagement. So I would love a couple of us to be there at least to have something to present. So let's get some ideas of, if we want to just present the list or if we want to just have some options about the next 2 to 5 years of projects that we can do. That would be something that the community could give us engagement on.
I love dot exercises.
What?
I love dot exercises. That's why they were our recommendation.
Yeah.
Dot exercises are great. Worked really well with the Bonanza
Yeah.
for us last year, so. Yeah, mark that down and then we will be getting these out to businesses and social media ASAP.
Cool.
Thank you.
Looks great.
That was fun.
Yep. just real quick too, we are doing a ton of work over there. I would say give some time to go over to Park Meadows. We're fully going through with the bed rehab right now. The Parks crews has ripped out all of the beds over there. The soil's getting amended. We're putting in new plants that match the design standards from the town for low water use, all that kind of fun stuff. Get some color over there. We're adding boulders that can be viewed for sitting, as well as, ADA upgrades with concrete. And then we'll bring in the engineered wood fiber, and it'll look like a completely different place by the time the Arbor Day comes.
That's awesome.
Is that next? Was there one more thing?
No.
I don't have the agenda.
We
pulled
have
up.
the dog park on there with, the update, so I think
Yeah,
it's good. I think we
okay.
covered it.
Hey, good to meet you.
Hello.
Oh,
I was so learning that too.
thank you.
Alrighty, so, I'm Kristen Hammill. I am one of the board members for the Main Street program, and we are gonna be working with Parks and Rec, for one of their parking places. So Billy asked me to come and just kind of give you guys a quick overview of the event, because this is not only gonna be a park and play, this is also a 10-year celebration for the Main Street program. Well, I don't know if you realize that or not, but yes, the program is actually 10 years old this year. So, and I think it's actually 10 years old on June 14th, which totally worked out perfect for a park and play being on the 15th. We said, why not collaborate? So that's what we are doing. It's gonna be a fun, engaging community event. It's gonna celebrate not only, the program accomplishments, show how we're trying to, beautify downtown parks and work together with the community, show the community a little bit about everything that the program's been doing. So the map there that's been put together kind of shows you everything's gonna be centered around Centennial Park. So the thought would be is that we would, for the park side, they're gonna have their regular park and play like they would do, have the inflatables, have yard games. Have hopefully looking to have archery attack there in the basketball court. We're looking to have potentially also a cornhole tournament there kind of in the center of Centennial Park. So with all that going on with Parks and Rec, then the other side of it would be the Main Street program is gonna also do kind of like a preview to their Main Street markets that happen throughout the summer into September. So that would happen more around the park area there, around this cornhole, where they would be able to, they're gonna select some vendors to be able to come out and showcase what people could see throughout the summer at the markets, as well as have some of the food trucks that have been at the different markets. So that's the plan for this. So we're just kind of, just wanted to bring it to you guys as you guys are part of Parks and Rec, to any support that you guys could possibly give to this event. We do have several partners that we are gonna work with. Looking to work with, obviously, our program, Parks and Rec. Hopefully we'll work with PROST, Kiwanis Club, the Rockabilly Vixens. The reason I say the Rockabilly Vixens is because one thing I did not notate that's not on the map, because it's gonna actually be the historic tours. That's something else that the program has been working on, is the historic tours for downtown. So this group hopefully is gonna come in, they will dress the part, they will walk the tours, as well as our hope is to also have it on an app called Districts. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but that's an app that all of the downtown, well, any really business here in Wellington can grab onto. They can promote their stuff on there. We can put historic tours, actually all the information straight on there so people could walk the tour themselves. And that would be a daily thing, wouldn't have to just be for this event. But that's something else we're looking to do. The library is going to get involved as our district actually comes all the way up to the library. We're looking to talk with the Main Street businesses, see if they might could do like sidewalk sales, something of the sort to help them promote their businesses as well. Looking to contact past board members or past program staff that have been involved, see if they might want to come out that day just to say, hey, who's been involved, do one of those type of things amongst the crowd. We're looking to the American Legion and possibly Skate Well. I know I don't have anything in the skate park for this map right now, because those are still kind of in limbo as to whether they can come out or not, and whether.
We'll be there.
So,
yeah, Billy reached out to me. I was out of town last week.
Awesome.
So yeah, we've done quite a few events there. I think the last one we did was with the food truck rally. July's, St. Patrick's Day, so we've done a bunch, so pretty much kind of just do the same, we'll do like a demo or some kind of just giveaway stuff and bring kids.
So
out.
we can touch base on what would be best for that and
Yeah,
that
so-
kind of thing, what would, for those 4 hours, 11 to 3.
Okay,
We chose that time so that way our food truck people can get the beginning of the lunch crowd and get the lunch crowd and maybe the late afternoon, early dinner, whatever, type of thing. So this is the plan as of now, again, tentative. We are still looking possibly for American Legion help. I think they may be able to help with the cornhole or have some other another group maybe that could help with that. But as long as everything goes, we're good to go. I know Roy Cook is another board member, and he was the one who was contacting American Legion and possibly somebody from Old Colorado Brewing, because we know that they've done several cornhole tournaments there as well. So we're looking kind of for somebody to really take that on. So that's kind of the event. And then we are looking for, and the last thing, the shelter area is going to be more of a, yes, it can be a shelter area, but also kind of more of a stage. Looking to have probably 3, I think, different groups come out, maybe something geared more towards kids, kind of geared towards the different audiences, is our hopes for this event.
We're talking like music?
Music. Maybe a sing-along for kids, somebody that comes out and
No,
does specific to
not me.
sing-alongs.
Teresa will play.
No, Teresa will not be playing.
So we have just started this with it being June 15th. We know it's coming right around the corner. So we'd love to have you guys there, help support this, as obviously being this was Parks and Rec's original Park and Play. And the board approached them and said, hey, is it by chance possibility for your June 15th Park and Play? Would you mind doing it at Centennial?
Yeah.
So we could bring the two together, show the community really how we collaborate, I think is a great way. Is really the biggest thing with this is how can the Main Street program collaborate with the town and put these bigger events on?
That's so awesome.
Because you also see Parks and Rec at Main Street events as well, when they do the market and different things like that.
So it's a potential opportunity for us to be out again, whether or not we want to collect data or just, cornhole tournament doesn't get any traction somewhere else. It could be PROST sponsored or hosted, any thoughts? How we can, continue these? There's a nice list of, Main Street events. There's so many town events, and we have our own schedule on the recreation. We have this master list that we're creating with Caitlin. It's getting longer and longer, and it's nice to see all these events. And I really want to just see us key in on certain events that PROST has a presence at. Whether or not we're collecting data at every single one, it's a great way for us to say, hey, our meeting is coming up. If you really want to push one of the items, here's our list of things. What would you like to see? Come to our meeting and talk to us about it. That is how we generate movement forward and really, in the long run, funding in the budget for our projects, right?
One of our projects being updating some time.
What up? No, just kidding. Right,
Yeah,
right.
We've updated it. Gotten some new playground.
So-
equipment and sports
Yeah,
and-
it's just a good time to remind everybody that they need some stuff.
It
It's rather the money to do that.
Right.
so
So,
You know-
This is great, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is super exciting. It sounds like a really fun event.
Yes, yep. And the last thing that, I don't know if you read through the whole thing, one of the things that we are so excited about is that Welly the Woolly Mammoth is going to make a sighting, the mascot of the program, so.
do you have a contact information on that?
On here, no, I do not, but I can give
So-
it to you.
Yeah.
just so you guys know, Kristen only daylights with the Main Street program. She's also recreation, Parks and Recreation seasonal employee. She's an amazing asset. She has an insane background in recreation and parks. So as a seasonal, she's a great asset, but her passion also is in event planning. So just working with our partnership and her passion for volunteering and putting on events, it's, you know, a great liaison to have on our staff as well as for the town to be able to utilize. So.
I'm in, give me a job.
And you
Yeah.
get Robert's information.
Yes.
and-
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah,
off.
that's okay.
Yeah, no worries. Billy, could you look in to see if there's any more, money donated for helmets and pads and stuff like that? Because
Yes,
look into that, because we could do another.
yes.
So it's, Robert. Phone number 720-369-5747. Yeah, it's, first initial R, and then my last name Sauceman, USA. At MSN.
Legion representation.
Awesome. I'll give you an email.
Okay.
It'll come from
Yep.
Kate.
Oh, yeah. Well, Roy's on the board. I don't know. So Dennis is like, he's got it.
Basically, use it to put it on the space with stuff happening.
That'd be great. just to
I
figure
think,
it
I
out the
mean,
way, just to get
you want-
that area.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah. Your contact is getting passed.
Roy was gonna, I don't know,
Yeah.
is Roy who was speaking with you? Okay. He was supposed to pass that on.
Dennis is now our honorary PROST member from outside representation, right? It's fantastic.
Anything else to discuss on this item? I think we're all really excited and I think
Yeah.
we're all trying to be there and.
Great. Great.
Yep.
Do you want to move on to the next item for
Yeah,
parade
think-
floats?
You wanted this item on
I
to
did,
talk about
um,
parade floats, and
I'm sorry.
well,
Still not.
you're okay.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
we kind of strategically,
Yeah,
thank you,
it's
thanks, Kristen, it's up to you.
Back to the staff meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that out.
Strategically kind of put
Appreciate it.
Kristen with the events as well, because we wanted to talk about potential, oh, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just kind of a segue into that next thing is, you know, just an idea about getting it out there. Robert wanted to.
I forgot all about that.
Okay.
So I'm not prepared to talk about.
Oh, I think we're just putting it on the agenda to
Oh.
talk about is all you wanted to do and just
I
kind of.
would like to do a parade book. I would. I think this group would be a lot of fun. I think we should do one. We talk about being out there and doing stuff. So I think we should do it. So does anybody else want to get in? You guys want to do it? You guys want to do a parade book?
For the 4th of July.
Yeah, for
So-
4th of July.
so
Do
we-
you want to do it for just PROST or would you want to do it for all the volunteer boards?
You guys are the funnest, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I don't know.
Up to you.
We're just trying to get the word out there, right? You know,
Yeah.
we've got these volunteer boards, come be a part of these groups and the
That's-
town. And so, you know, do we try to promote everybody or are we just trying to just do PROST? And I don't care either way.
Are you talking about like finance committee and planning?
I mean, that's,
I said,
Zoning.
They have that big QR code.
do they have a truck and a trailer?
I got a truck.
That's true.
Let's start with.
I can pull it with my truck.
I have a little trailer if you want it.
All right, there you go. So
we need a big-
We don't need that.
Everybody out there advertising that, but I don't know that we should have it all on one float. That would be my vote, that we will have it all on one float. Only because then I think it would be more visible, right? You got, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. You know what I mean?
I don't know, finance, I don't know.
Well, with finance committee and, I mean, if it's planning commission or something like that, if it's anybody, I don't want to catch friendly fire. I want our float. No, we've had enough of it. I don't want to be anywhere near trustee Bailey.
That's done by the 4th of July, you can hand them out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And those balls, you can throw those at people.
Okay.
I would want that job.
So you want to aim for the 4th of July?
It's fine. It was just.
It's
easy question.
nice little,
Does anybody have access to a flatbed trailer?
I would have a big one.
You guys had to have a trailer, right?
You guys can have your gators out there.
I couldn't guarantee that we'd be allowed to hitch it up to an alternative truck, but since it is a
I
town
can drive a Parks and Rec. truck,
sponsored
too.
board, it's something that I could potentially drive.
Yeah.
That's something to talk about.
Okay.
Cause I mean, Public Works does they cruise down for the.
I mean, we've had that big
Downtown lights.
vacuum truck go down it.
That's it for the downtown lights, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so they're part of it. I don't see why not.
I have access to a huge dump trailer, but I don't think that may not be the best. I mean, you
Yeah.
could decorate it, but it's still a dump trailer.
yeah.
Put a tarp in it, fill the whole water, it'd be cool.
It could be a pool.
There you go. James Dennis, honorary member, check.
Yay, praise.
So
Hopefully I'll
let's
be
start
with a
putting different
different
ideas.
one,
Let's
so.
definitely put it on the next agenda as well, so
Okay.
that we can just keep touching base on it and be ready.
I'll check in on her.
Make a list of
Our
the moving
availability.
items.
The only thing that I'll say that might keep us out from using one of our trucks is typically we use all of our trucks to block off the roads for safety. And that pretty much takes our whole fleet, but maybe we'll just use another Public Works truck and then
Yeah.
put one of our parks trucks in.
I
I think it's a good option.
Up to you. I mean, I can pull with my truck, but if you don't have a trailer for it, or if I
I'll
can't pull it.
I'll look at it.
There's a lot of trailers around town too. so.
Yeah, and I might have access to one that was used during the Christmas one this last year anyways. So I can
Okay.
ask.
And Paul's got a truck too, so he can pull.
Teresa and Paul playing pickleball on the back of.
You guys.
We could have a pickleball
Have your bike.
float on it.
Right,
Right?
It's May 4th of July.
Love
There you go.
I think the more you get out there, the better it is, so.
Like, it would be great. Some pickleball, some skate park, a little disc golf, like all the things. Couple people
Or
walking
you
their
can have
dogs,
like one of each method of transportation, like a bicycle, a skateboard,
all the
a
wheels.
hoverboard, a Segway.
Yeah.
All the wheels. Okay, next agenda, think about it, see what we can do to wrap up equipment and then we'll move forward on
Yeah.
that. That's cool.
Okay.
See people who's like on that one wheel.
Future calendar.
Around town.
Do you want to bring it up?
Flies around.
You
Does
don't
everybody want to
have
just take a check? I put a couple agendas, a couple items on the agenda for the next few meetings. The next one is got a few
Locked in, yeah.
locked in. Just want to talk about that. Really trying to get Cody at the next one. I'm gonna give him, we sat down and had a conversation. This one was just a little bit too tight to get to, but I think that the next one will give us some time. And I'll give him some agenda and speaking points. Just if you have anything you want to come from our director of planning or planning director, that will be helpful for him to preview before this so that we can make it a productive conversation. Please send them my way because I'll sit down with him and we'll chat again.
Future calendar, I'd like to put something on for tours. We talk about doing tours, but we don't ever get to them. So it's not like, I didn't dig on anybody there, but I haven't put one together either, so. But I would love to walk the disc golf course. I'd love to walk Wellington Community Park with people that have other ideas to discuss. And then of course we can go visit rec centers.
We do like we call a special meeting or PROST field trip.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love field trip.
We've, when we've done them in the past, we've been able to hit 3 parks max.
Mhm.
Sure.
The amount of time, so even if we can just keep it down to 2, we can do 2 at a time, kind of get through that. We were doing them on Saturday mornings, that worked for a little bit.
Okay.
We could try that.
Yeah. No, I mean, now that the weather's nice too, I think it gives us a little bit of option to get out and.
So what would be your first 2 that you want to?
What would I want to hit? Just being new, I'd like to hit every park at some point, even if it's just a quick drive by. If we were all together in a bus, drinking and all that. and-
That would be
I mean, I think that would be fun, like to get on a bus and cruise around to everyone and just have discussions about your experience that you've had. I mean, being new to the board, I just like as much history as I can get.
Takes a while. Like if we were to do that, it would be a full day field trip.
Too
It
much.
it
So
takes a.
Try to keep it to 2 or 3 at a time, like we could hit the east side easily for one of our
Yeah,
trips, right?
yeah.
But then everything else we probably have to break down.
Yeah, and I mean, me personally, I'd be okay saying, let's do a once a month until we get through where everybody's familiar.
Sure, a lot easier to schedule if we know it's coming up every
Yeah.
month at a certain time.
So. This could be
What
it.
is everybody's weekend
So-
look like?
My weekends
What
are
is everybody-
terrible.
What, weekends, Saturdays, mornings, are you bad?
I would rather not do Saturday morning.
Is there an evening that you guys would wanna do?
I would, oh,
I
I
can
mean,
do
if you're
Wednesday
asking
through
for
Friday.
votes, I would rather do a weeknight evening than I would a weekend, because weekend is
Yeah.
really family time, and I don't like to take away.
Now that our rec
Okay.
programming's going, it's a little difficult for us to
For a weekday,
weekend.
weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when
Yeah.
football and soccer is and kids.
First,
So
just tell me what-
Wednesday night work, I mean, tonight-
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is good for me.
yeah, I'd say Wednesday, Thursday would usually be good for me.
About first Wednesdays of the month. Because we would otherwise meet on the second Wednesday.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So then we meet the first, get some ideas if anything comes to mind.
Yeah,
Talk before the meeting. That
Yeah.
way we can discuss anything
yeah,
hanging.
yeah. First field trips.
Okay, we would have to secure if we want to transport together, the mode of transportation or.
If you can pull that off, that would be awesome. But if not, we can just carpool.
I
around.
would say just meet there. It'd be just as easy to zip around.
I think that
and
would be
zip
easier
out.
too, just to meet there.
Okay.
Well,
So you can't drink. See you.
Then if somebody can't go, you know what I mean, if somebody.
Yeah.
running late, all that
Or
kind of
needs to
stuff.
leave early,
Yeah.
or they have that.
Yeah, that's-
It's hard when you're just all.
If what you want to do, I mean, as a town employee, I can absolutely offer you to come and I can drive you around just to see it all, like just to see the
Well,
loop.
yeah, if I'm the only one, I'd
No,
absolutely.
no, I think it's a valuable opportunity, but
Yeah, I think also what would be great about those is like some of us that have been on the board for longer know what has happened throughout
Yeah, yeah.
time with projects and different staging and hurdles we've had to
Yep.
hop over, and I think it would be good as a group. And I'm good with evenings, Wednesdays,
Fine.
as long as we're like 6 o'clock about the same time as the meeting, fine.
Okay.
I say we ride bikes and then you guys can experience the underpass and do all those kind of
Love that
things.
underpass.
No.
One of my favorite things.
I like to yell scary noises when I go.
thing is scary.
Bike works good for me. I love my bike.
Yeah, I'll ride. I'm ready to ride bikes. That'll be fun. Or if you
Bike or
don't want to,
drive.
you can drive. Yeah.
Start.
Ride my
Where do you
bike
wanna start
everywhere in
first?
town.
Wanna Start next month then? Where-
April 3rd.
Sounds like a lot more biker friendly too in the last decade. It's great.
And it gives us the idea of how to make it more. It's a
Oh,
huge portion of it.
Recreation than to have the whole PROST board on bikes. with some-
Should we have matching shirts?
We should.
You know what? I honestly did
And
talk
our
about
shirts
that
are-
internally. I could,
Volunteer?
I think we could, it's something that I've talked about and I think it's
Oh,
would be
yeah.
totally doable within the budget. I mean, we have,
Highlighter color of yellow
Yeah.
shirts this month. I thought it'd be great.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is potentially April 3rd, Wednesday at 6, right? We could start with the east side, we would hit Sunrise Park with Meadows, and then what else?
The 6th, the earliest that everybody can do.
Oh,
It's comfy.
My time's gonna change depending on where I'm working at.
Oh, okay.
So if we're starting sitting in Brighton, so if I was down there, I wouldn't be able to make 6.
Oh, okay.
Robert,
6 is fine, yeah. Yeah.
I'll do my best to be there by 6.
I'll have to head out early because I have comedy.
but you just have to pop onto the underpass after Wellville and,
Yeah, I'll be right there.
and 6 PM is okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
okay.
Okay, so let's plan on that. Let's plan on April 3rd. And we'll just do on the east side, and we'll hit all the east side ones. And that'll be great, because then we can look at the dog park, not talk about it. but-
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That works great.
Okay, great. Any other items for the future calendar? Okay, announcements, what do we need to get through?
I'll go quick. Parks, we are just now getting some of the amenities turned on. The south bathrooms will come on for the Easter egg hunt, which is this weekend. So I want to do a plug for Saturday, the Easter egg hunt. We'll be out there with our bubble soccer if it goes. If not, we might just do fun demonstrations. So if you'd like to come get bounced around like Eric said at last meeting, it would be fun. So we're just starting to turn over that kind of stuff, get water on, thinking about irrigation. We got this really cool proposal from a local vendor that wants to give us fertigation equipment. When fertigation is basically how you can fertilize through irrigation. It's completely housed within, this will probably go out viewpoint. It's in the pump house, and they're gonna give us the equipment because they're just trying to do like viability tests. It's an organic product that they put out so that you're not putting prills out there. You can dial it in to fertilize over the night, shut it off, then run another cycle to wash it into the soil. So it's like completely safe. It's used in a lot of different places. Municipalities use it, professional fields use it, but they want to do a demonstration with us, so they're going to potentially give us the equipment. And over the long term, the goal is to cut fertilizer costs and then completely reduce a lot of what you get through runoff when you have prills that are supposed to last for 180 days. It's very, very specific. So that's pretty cool. We're going to try that out at Viewpoint this year. All the ADA porta potties, we're getting a fence put up over at Viewpoint and over at the Knolls at the disc golf park this week in coordination with all the upgrades that are happening over at the skate park. The same company is doing a lot of those ADA/safety upgrades, increasing the size of the safety railing to meet safety standards on top of the half pipes, thank you, as well as doing all the plank replacements. So they're in there. They were in there today. I don't know if they finished. They said they'd be done by Friday, but the latest update I got is that they'll be out of there tomorrow working on the fences. Once that's done, we'll turn all of the portal potties over to ADA accessible. And that should be done by, cross your fingers, by the end of this month, as fast as Republic Service can get out. Hopefully the call will be next Monday. Then this year we're going to focus. There are a good amount of trees in WCP that I'm going to have one contractor work on. So we're going to take down, I think, 14 trees that are dead, as well as put in the trees that need to be for those replacements. And then if you've ever been down there and noticed the far north side, right along the treescape on Buffalo Creek Parkway, the trees just kind of stop. So there's about anywhere from 4 to 5, depending on the spacing, that are going to get put in so that treescape is actually complete all the way out to the crossover. We probably won't go at that last little junction yet, just because Public Works has their little storage facility, but it'll look more complete going down Buffalo Creek. So
Out of curiosity, how come those trees died? Do you know why?
I don't, I think, well, I can tell you, some of it is just condition. There is, I think I talked about this last time, maybe there's a new list coming out from arborists and the state about quality trees to be using in different environments up and down the Front Range. So we're waiting for that. I don't know how much longer we can wait, because we want to get trees in the ground before leaf out. So, I mean, as soon as next week, I really want to put them out, and the contractor wants to get going on that. But as far as professional recommendations, I've got some from Arbor Valley, Bartlett, and the other farm that we kind of work with for all their professional opinions, since we don't have a certified arborist on our parks crew or in the parks department. So working with all 3 of them, they get as many updates as anybody else does. So if that list doesn't come out, we don't have like the full viable list, they'll be able to do their best. But I think they probably go bad just because of our harsh climate.
It wasn't vandalism. We had lost some trees in the past due to vandalism, had to replace them, and so I was just curious if that was a concern.
No, I think I don't know what happened to that row on the north side. Some of them are old cottonwoods that have probably been down in that creek for a long time, but I do want to replace them with something. So and I think they say like anywhere from 5 to 12% of trees that you put in, no matter how perfect the climates, aren't going to last. It's like some of the spruces that are in there. You see them across by the BMX. 6 of them are fine. 1 of them's gone. So just replacing that. Just and yeah, nothing too alarming, but there are some soil mitigation techniques that we're hopefully going to contract out to be able to keep some of the declining trees from going all the way, and hopefully reproduce the like vivacity. I can't think of the word, of the vitality, thank you, of what they were losing. So maybe we'll be able to keep them rather than losing them in the long term. And all of that is just a huge like step forward when we got that, the tree mapping and being able to pick the ones that are red on that map and be like, yep, let's do this park, all the red ones, flip them over, yellow ones, hopefully we can do root mitigation, save them from going to red, green ones, let's just keep spraying and fertilizing as we were. Yeah. Other than all that stuff, that's it. Spring sports for recreation. They're all at a meeting tonight with the coaches, so spring sports for youth start next week. So we'll be in full swing for recreation, and then adult softball will be starting. Baseball, I don't know if you guys have driven around town at all, but all 4 of those fields are insane. We are going to have a huge backing for amenities as far as baseball fields and field space, because we went from renting a few spaces this year to being booked. And I'm like, we could have never foreseen how many field rentals we were using for baseball. We have people coming from Windsor, Fort Collins. We've had a request from people in Cheyenne looking for field space for us. Wow. So the reason being is that Fort Collins Baseball Club did a really good job of booking all of Fort Collins. So anybody around that needs to practice that isn't part of that is looking for field space. I have never heard so many phone calls for rentals, and they're willing to pay for, it's great, but we only have 4 fields and 2 with lights. So they're willing to pay with lights. They're willing to pay for preps. There, there's just all sorts of this, like, when can we get on your fields? And we're like, we don't even have enough for our games, but we're going to squeeze as many as we can in. So we're doing, the data collection is pretty simple with our process of how we, rent the fields in our Amelia servicing. So we're going to have some very interesting data to say this year to this year. It could be an anomaly because of how the fields are rented elsewhere, or it could just be a great way to say we need more field space, right? Because if we're going to host tournaments, the school is literally looking to use some of our space for a tournament because they can't do it anywhere else in conjunction with other teams. So we're like, it's nuts, but in a good way, right? Like in a really good way.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't turn a huge profit on that, but since it's an amenity that was sitting there, yeah, using it definitely does.
So it needs to go on a wish list.
Like the long term, yeah. When we put a huge, like when we put the next park in, potentially a quadplex or something like that. I mean, just saying, like we easily could use 4 more baseball/softball fields this year, and probably still would have to turn people away, or be able to bring in like a full tournament.
Yeah.
I can just say, just come on,
Right.
go eat, go have fun for a
bringing
week.
a bunch of people to town if you're renting.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like she said, I was out on Wednesday. I went to go, or excuse me, last night, Tuesday, to go play tennis with my daughter. And this early in the year, all 4 of the fields were just kids everywhere playing baseball, ready to roll. And it's good to see. Okay. We're
food trucks know about that stuff around town?
They're welcome to if they have the vendor's license. I mean, I don't have the honest like time or opportunity to, but they do know about like adult softball night at the community park when they have back-to-back games. You'll see a food truck roll up there. Something for us to talk about, but like if you know people, I would say yeah, start looking because the practices are going to be going crazy.
We see coffee trucks and stuff
Mhm.
because we live right behind. So there's coffee trucks and a couple of other ones that are out there for the weekends.
They're hitting to it.
But yeah, I mean, good.
It won't take long for them to figure out this.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we've never rented lights out this early in the season. They're pretty much booked. 2 fields every night. Excuse me, just real quick, we're gonna do a real strong vegetative seeding over a lot of our open spaces, the trail spaces. I know we don't have like a traditional land use open space, but all of our open spaces. They talked about the weed mitigation last year was bad, tough year for weeds based on the early season rain. But this year we're really starting to throw a bunch of seed out there and get that seed bank going. So that's an ongoing process. That's what I got.
I did a very big plea to the Board of Trustees regarding the need to maintain a master plan for the next strategic plan. And I said that there were some significant concerns, and I was speaking on your behalf that, you know, if it's in strategic plan for one set of terms and then it's not for the next, it's not working, right? So I put that out there for you guys the last meeting. I just texted everybody in our group the link to complete the form for the strategic plan. So this is both ways, right? I told the board that they need to include it on the strategic plan.
Okay.
I sent you a link for you to say whatever you want for the strategic plan. But based on our previous conversations, I would assume part of that would say we need to focus on or make sure we prioritize a Parks and Rec master, right? I don't want to tell you what to say by any means. I just know this is an interested group, so I wanted to make sure that you guys can participate. We had great representation last night of the strategic plan event. We had 2 PROST members, Aaron and Jesse. So I thought that was wonderful, and not very many attendees whatsoever. So I mean, the percentage of PROST members there was a significant percentage of people. And then
Oh, I thought there'd be more.
yeah,
Okay.
it just not a lot of people came, but the nice thing is the same activity is the link I just sent you.
Okay.
So anything you write in there verbatim will be included in the notes to the board and to the next board. More so, that's the more important part. It'll be the notes, everything there will be analyzed, A, and B, they'll get verbatim exactly as you write it in your form I just sent out. They will have all of those remarks.
Okay.
So I do suggest that you spend, you don't, there's 3 questions. It's not hard stuff, but if you can spend some time to put some thoughtful responses in there, that would be fantastic. Some beautiful stuff came out of it. Last night, even though there weren't very many people, obviously the people who were there were very engaged. So it was a good opportunity. But I mean, if you have other concerns or questions or anything like that, or a lot of it is like, what does Wellington need to overcome? That was one of them. Where do you see Wellington in 2 to 4 years? What was the other question?
What do you love about Wellington?
What do you love about Wellington? So, yeah, just give those, and it's not just one word. You can write as many things as you'd like. So go for it.
When's the closing on that?
I don't know. I wonder if that's on that form actually, but yeah, distribute it, tell everyone to do it. I was just thinking maybe it's on the form.
It's not.
To do it as soon as possible. I'm sure it was on I didn't put this link to the post where it was shared. I'm sure that's the one that said when it was closing.
It just came out today.
Yeah, just came out this morning.
We should at least have a week or so.
Yeah, yeah. So, but this is, you know, we have a million surveys that all of them say very similar things, to be completely honest. We did the whole community survey. We did all the engagement activities around the comprehensive plans. It's remarkable how consistent responses are, really, because there's very big thematic community needs, right? But what's most important when you're doing anything like that is the most recent feedback is the loudest. So just because we have amazing statistically valid surveys, they will hold the responses to this. It'll be just more recent and more accurate in their minds. So it's really powerful. So encourage people to participate, please. And that's everyone and everybody and anybody who lives here, works here, plays here, anything like that. They need to definitely participate.
Okay.
So, and if you say something, you're like, oh, somebody already said that. No, also say it, because the frequency in which a similar theme is mentioned, you know, through the analysis, that'll be a bigger consideration. Right?
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, people were looking at the board last night and they're like, oh, somebody already wrote that. And I was like, no, that's your idea. You write it too. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, because you don't get to see what everybody else said at this point as part of this process, but everybody else could see everyone's responses. So, and we got a summary of them that I didn't bring with me.
Okay.
But it was good. It was a really good activity. But that's how you guys can really make a difference right now. It's the biggest thing.
Okay.
Any questions for me or anything I can relate to? Okay, I'll just invite them to our events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really reminder of
Yes.
meeting schedules.
Our meeting, yeah,
I'll do that.
and we'll get the wish list cleaned up so that it's more easy to convey what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
for the board.
Presentable.
Yeah, the more direct and simplified, I think the best.
Okay.
So,
Do we have any other tiny things we could add to the wish list? Kind of the things on the wish, they're kind of big, I mean, really.
dog food station.
Oh, we added 2 to WCP. Sorry,
The-
that should, say that.
I would say that's. it.
Well, sorry, we got the locates and the positions for them. They will be added ASAP, but they're right on, Buffalo Creek Parkway on the north and the south side of the park, so that it completes the loop around the park with dog bags.
The bike gas station.
Mhm.
We're accomplishing a lot of our smaller wish list items that we're gonna be getting to that point where we're gonna start. We've got these bigger items.
There's any little. I don't have anything.
I think if that's what you're thinking about, keep in mind those, but if we knock those off and we say we're getting close to the end of the year and we've got, some of that left, we can think about maybe buying an extra bike fix station this year, something like that. Exercise station or 2, something like that.
The only question I had, and I'll just be brief here, but, is the upgrade that these guys presented to us tonight? I mean, that 45, when I saw that number, I'm like, holy yeah. So I just go look up what a basket costs. Basket costs $575. So for 9 minus shipping, it's $4,005.
What kind of basket?
I mean,
Let's say one.
no, well, it doesn't have the soccer face at the
Right.
bottom, but that's the top of the line basket so I'm just wondering.
I can answer that. There's personal use buying it and there's government buying it. And that's I gotta rent, because the skate park hiring is a huge problem. As soon as you try to put something to sell it to the government, it's always jacked up. The price is always so much.
I just wonder if it's a volunteer work tied with this mania. I mean, I know there's gonna be some planning, which that costs money too, but it takes a jaunt to get to 20 grand from, I mean, just say you've doubled the basket price for the T-box price, you're at 10 grand.
I agree, I know.
And
Yeah,
like I look at
Totally
44
agree.
and go, holy.
I mean, it's not quite as,
I think that they can
Rest.
knock it out in a couple of days, basically is what they said, right?
3 days.
Maybe they can provide itemized lists. That would be.
The turf,
Yeah,
the
that-
turf
that-
for the tee box is gonna cost a lot.
Well,
It's the
You-
turf. that's the
you-
driver.
But you think it's gonna be 10 grand
Mhm.
for 9 stations?
probably $10 a square foot, probably.
I just find it hard to get up to 45. Well, with labor, I don't, but without labor, 24.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't get past
I think
15.
itemized receipts are really helpful though.
Yeah, so I can get it itemized.
Okay, I think we.
Yeah, I'll get an
I was
itemized
so
breakdown.
shocked when I saw
That'd be good for
exercise
donations too.
equipment, and I was so shocked when I saw the screen thing come through, and I'm all of it, I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's all, it's.
Nice thing about like getting an itemized option too is if you can modify it, see if there is room to modify it and just really.
So, I mean, I agree, it could very well be. Labor Day stuff, but.
But it's good for sponsorship. So if you have it itemized, you'd be like, if you want to sponsor that, it costs
it
this
costs
much
that.
money. Yeah, that would be good for that.
Hi, Teresa. Good to see you.
Hi, Teresa.
That's all I got. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Anybody else have anything?
I mean, I motion to adjourn.
We're good to adjourn.
Meeting at 8:09 PM.